In 2026, a new kind of travel threat is quietly spreading through airports and tourist cities, and most seniors don't even know it's happening. Thieves aren't just watching for wallets anymore, they're watching for a tiny security habit older travelers do without realizing it. And the wild part? It's still perfectly legal in every airport, hotel lobby, and cruise terminal, which means thieves can spot it instantly. One small gesture, done in the wrong moment, can mark you as an easy target long before you ever step into a taxi or reach your gate. If you want more seniors to stay protected this year, hit like right now so this warning reaches the people who need it. Now, let me introduce you to someone whose story might feel strangely familiar. Eldric Rowan is 72, recently widowed, and trying to rebuild a life that feels steady again. He isn't inexperienced, he's traveled across the country many times, but stepping back into the world alone feels different now. What changed isn't his ability, it's the pace of the world around him. On his first trip overseas since losing his wife, he told himself he was ready. But something unexpected rattled him before he even made it to his hotel. A habit he'd carried from home, small, harmless, comforting, nearly got him profiled by thieves the moment he arrived in Lisbon. It wasn't dramatic or obvious. It was something he did without thinking, something thousands of seniors do every single day, especially when they're feeling overwhelmed in a new place. Eldric didn't realize anything was wrong until a stranger watched him a little too closely, a little too long. And that's where everything started to shift. The truth is, Eldric didn't lose money because he was careless. He didn't make a foolish choice or wander into the wrong street. He simply didn't know how seniors are being profiled in 2026 or why the smallest habits now matter more than ever. Mistake 1. The comfort gesture thieves track. Your hands give away more information than your passport, and what makes this so risky is that most seniors don't even realize they're doing it. In 2026, pickpockets have shifted away from old-fashioned bump and grab techniques. Now, they prefer something far easier, letting you reveal your most valuable pocket for them. And the gesture that gives you away isn't dramatic, it's soft, instinctive, barely noticeable unless you're trained to look for it. It's the quiet, repeated touch of the same pocket or bag compartment, the one you go to whenever you feel unsure. This comfort gesture shows up most often in seniors because it's tied to wisdom, not weakness. When you've lived long enough to know how quickly things can disappear, your instincts tell you to check that pocket just to confirm everything's still there. But in crowded tourist zones, that instinct becomes a trail of breadcrumbs. A tiny motion repeated over minutes turns into a pattern valuable enough to follow. Thieves don't need to be close. They just need to watch your hands, not your face. Eldric Rowan experienced this without even realizing it. He had just stepped out of a Lisbon cafe, feeling proud of himself for navigating the city solo. He admired the tiled walls, the narrow streets, the sound of people laughing over espresso. But every time he felt a little unsure, crossing an unfamiliar street, pausing to look at a map, slowing down to take a breath, his hand drifted to that same right pocket. Not to grab anything. Just to make sure. A quick pat. A light brush. A tiny squeeze. Across the street, a man sipping from a paper cup looked up each time Eldric touched that spot. To him, Eldric wasn't doing something innocent. He was revealing where his valuables were stored and how often he checked them. That's all a professional thief needs. They don't guess. They wait for the moment when you switch your focus, stepping into a shop doorway, taking a photo, stopping to read a sign. That's when the hand that watched you becomes the hand that reaches for you. But the real danger isn't the gesture itself. It's how predictable it becomes. Thieves rely on predictability. And the comfort gesture is one of the most predictable habits older travelers have because it comes from a place of responsibility and caution. You want to stay safe, so you check. Ironically, that check is what marks you. Here's the empowering part. You don't need to stop traveling, stop smiling, or stop enjoying your surroundings. You just need to break the pattern. Carry your valuables in a place you never touch in public. Use a bag with hidden compartments that don't require adjustments. Distract your hands with something harmless, holding a small guidebook, keeping lightweight gloves on, or using a strap that stays stable on its own. Little changes make you unpredictable and uninteresting to thieves. Staying aware isn't fear, it's smart, seasoned travel. And once you understand this subtle habit, You'll move through any city with more confidence than most younger travelers. Ever noticed yourself checking your pocket without thinking? Mistake 2. Using the same travel bag from 2010. Most seniors don't realize how much the world of travel gear has changed in the last decade. It's not about the bag looking old or out of style. The real issue in 2026 is security, because thieves study predictable designs, and older travel bags have become some of the easiest targets. Back in the early 2010s, travel gear was built for convenience, not protection. Zippers were simple, pockets were wide open, and the layouts were nearly identical from brand to brand. That meant you always knew where things were, but so did the wrong people. Those comfortable features have quietly turned into vulnerabilities. RFID shielding wasn't standard back then. Hidden compartments were rare. And worst of all, the zipper systems on many popular bags from that era can be popped open with nothing more than a pen or a slight tug. Thieves don't break into them, they glide through them. In crowded airports, cruise terminals, and busy city squares, these outdated designs practically announce, "My valuables are easy to reach." Eldric learned this the hard way without even realizing at first that his bag was part of the problem. He'd owned it since 2010, a sturdy, sentimental crossbody he bought before a road trip with his late wife. The bag felt like a piece of their adventures, and he carried it with quiet pride. What he didn't know was that the front pouch design he loved had been discontinued years earlier because it made travelers, especially seniors, easier to target. That pouch sat just the right distance from the body, with a zipper that didn't fully lock at the ends. To a thief, that's not just convenient, it's a perfect opportunity. While Eldric wandered along the waterfront in Lisbon, his bag rested at his hip exactly the way he always wore it. But the layout was predictable. The front pouch was large, easy to nudge open, and placed where a stranger could slide a hand in with minimal movement. The man walking behind him didn't need to watch Eldric's hands this time. He already knew where the valuables were likely stored, because that design is common in older bags. It's like recognizing the blueprint of a house you've broken into before. But here's the truth most seniors aren't told. You don't need to replace your favorite bag with something expensive, complicated, or bulky. You just need a small upgrade. Newer travel bags are built with security first. Zippers lock. RFID layers stop digital pickpocketing. Hidden pockets sit against your body where wandering hands can't reach. These features don't change how you travel, they change how protected you are while traveling. Eldric eventually upgraded to a modern bag with subtle security features, and he noticed something surprising. He felt calmer, not overwhelmed. He stopped touching his pockets. He stopped checking the bag every few minutes. The upgrade didn't just protect him, it reduced the anxiety that comes with solo travel after 60. And that's the part people forget. Better gear gives you back mental space. If you've been carrying the same bag for years, it's worth asking yourself one simple question. Is this design helping me stay safe today, or am I relying on something built for a world that doesn't exist anymore? Still using a bag older than your grandkids? What year is yours from? Mistake 3. The transit pause pickpockets exploit most. There's a moment almost every senior traveler does without realizing it. A tiny pause that lasts only 2 or 3 seconds, but it's long enough for an experienced thief to make their move. In 2026, this moment has become one of the most exploited vulnerabilities in airports, train stations, cruise terminals, escalators, and metro entrances. Thieves call it the orientation pause, and they love it because it's predictable, universal, and completely natural. It isn't about being inexperienced. It's about being human. Here's what it looks like. You step off an escalator and stop for a breath while you get your bearings. You reach the sliding doors of a terminal and slow down to look for a sign. You walk toward a ferry ramp and pause to double-check if it's the right one. These quick stops help you stay safe, avoid getting lost, or make sure you're going in the right direction. But to criminals who specialize in watching body language, that pause is a green light. Those few seconds are the perfect window because your attention shifts inward, to thinking, checking, orienting, instead of staying aware of who's behind you. Eldric found himself caught in this exact trap at a metro turnstile in Lisbon. He wasn't confused or helpless. He simply hesitated. He scanned his travel card, stepped forward, and froze for just a moment when he realized the turnstile was slightly different from the ones back home. That small pause gave him a second to figure it out, and gave someone behind him a chance to move closer than they should have. The man wasn't rushing. He wasn't pushing. He blended in perfectly. But in that 3-second window, he shifted his position so he could slip past Eldric in the crowd and get within arm's reach of his bag. This is the part many seniors underestimate. Thieves don't need chaos or confusion. They need predictability. And the orientation pause is the most predictable moment in travel. Everyone hesitates when entering unfamiliar spaces, but older travelers tend to do it longer, more gently, and with more openness, making them easier to approach without alarming them. Criminals don't waste energy on messy attacks. They patiently wait for the natural slowdowns older travelers can't help but make after decades of careful, thoughtful movement. The good news? You don't have to rush or eliminate these pauses. You just need to shift where you take them. Instead of stopping at the mouth of an escalator, move a few steps off to the side where you're not directly in the flow of people. Instead of freezing at the turnstile, step past it before taking a moment to think. On ferry ramps or train platforms, pause with your back against a wall or railing, not open space. This simple habit blocks access to your bag and gives you a clear view of anyone approaching. Even slight adjustments in your posture can help. Angle your bag toward your chest when you stop, or rest a hand casually on the top of it so you can feel movement instantly. These changes don't require strength, speed, or fancy gear. They rely on awareness, something seniors often have more of than younger travelers. It's about using the wisdom you already carry and placing your pauses where they protect you instead of exposing you. Once you start doing this, you'll notice how much calmer and more in control you feel in busy transit areas, especially when traveling alone. Be honest, do you do this too? Mistake 4. Relying on hotel security assumptions that expire in 2026. For decades, travelers, especially seniors, have trusted one thing above almost anything else in a hotel: the uniform. A badge, a flashlight, a neatly pressed shirt, a name tag, all of it signals safety. For most of your life, a uniform meant someone was trained, vetted, and directly responsible for protecting guests. But in 2026, that assumption quietly stopped matching reality. More hotels than ever now outsource their nighttime security. That means the person standing in the lobby at 11 p.m. or patrolling the hallway at dusk might not be an actual hotel employee. They might not know the building layout, emergency protocols, or guest safety policies. Some are trained well. Some are trained poorly. Some receive almost no training at all. And most seniors have no idea this shift is happening. Eldric discovered this the uncomfortable way. On his third night in Lisbon, he returned to his hotel after an evening stroll. Standing near the elevator was a man in a dark uniform, holding a walkie-talkie and wearing a badge with the hotel's name. Eldric nodded politely, expecting the man to greet him the way true hotel staff usually do. Instead, the guard studied him a moment too long, then asked what room he was staying in. Eldric answered without thinking, something he later regretted. A few minutes after reaching his room, something felt off. He realized the guard hadn't welcomed him, hadn't offered help, hadn't done any of the things hotel staff normally do. He had just collected information. The next morning, Eldric mentioned the encounter at the front desk. The receptionist looked confused. "We don't have anyone on shift last night by that description," she said. "That must have been one of the contracted guards." Eldric's stomach dropped. The man who questioned him wasn't a trained hotel team member. He was part of a rotating outsourced crew hired through a third-party contractor, a practice increasingly common in many American cities and in major tourist destinations worldwide. Some of these contractors run tight operations. Others cut corners. And travelers, especially older ones, can't tell the difference just by looking at a uniform. This doesn't mean you should live in fear or treat every security guard as suspicious. Confidence matters more than confrontation. What you need is a simple set of phrases that help you verify who you're speaking to without sounding rude, aggressive, or uncertain. You don't need to challenge them. You just need clarity. For example, instead of volunteering your room number, you can say calmly, "I'm heading up, thank you. May I ask which department you're with? Or are you posted here tonight or assisting another team?" These questions sound polite and natural, but they reveal everything you need to know. A legitimate employee will answer comfortably. An outsourced guard will usually identify their agency. Someone who shouldn't be there will hesitate or redirect. Even small habits can keep you safer. Never say your room number out loud, show your key card without handing it over, and if you feel uncertain, walk to the front desk and let them handle it. Hotels expect this, you won't be bothering anyone. These practices aren't about treating people like threats. They're about protecting your privacy and giving yourself the confidence to move through unfamiliar spaces without second-guessing your instincts. Trusting your intuition is one of the greatest strengths seniors have. With a few fresh habits, you can stay safe without ever feeling confrontational or uncomfortable. Mistake 5. The friendly helper scam that targets seniors by accident. There's a certain kind of scam that has exploded in popularity in 2026, and most seniors don't realize they're the primary targets until it's too late. It's not aggressive. It's not dramatic. It doesn't involve someone grabbing your wallet or blocking your path. Instead, it preys on kindness, confusion, and the natural instinct to accept help when you're in a new place and something feels unfamiliar. This scam is built around the friendly helper, the person who appears exactly when you're struggling with a ticket machine, reading a map, or figuring out a public kiosk. They look harmless. They sound polite. They seem like they genuinely want to assist. But what they're really after is information. American seniors abroad experience this more often than travelers from other countries because thieves assume they're carrying more savings, better cards, or higher spending limits. The accent alone becomes a signal. A simple "excuse me" or "does this machine take cash" is often enough to alert the wrong person that you're not local. And the moment you appear uncertain, even slightly, the friendly helper steps forward. Their timing is always perfect because they wait for the hesitation, not the question. Eldric encountered this firsthand in Barcelona. He was trying to buy a train ticket, and the machine's language menu kept flicking back to Catalan. As he frowned, a man beside him immediately leaned in with a warm smile. "Let me help you," he said, already pressing buttons before Eldric could respond. He moved quickly, confidently, like someone familiar with the system. Eldric appreciated the kindness at first, but the man's eyes weren't on the screen. They flicked downward every time Eldric entered a number or tapped his card. The helper wasn't helping. He was memorizing the pattern of Eldric's pin strokes and watching exactly where his wallet returned. This scam works because it doesn't feel like a scam in the moment. It feels like humanity. It feels like the type of polite assistance you'd give someone back home. But scammers rely on that trust. They know seniors value politeness and don't want to appear rude by refusing help. They know older travelers often move more calmly, which gives more time to observe sensitive information. They know an accent can reveal everything before you've said a full sentence. The fix isn't to assume everyone is dangerous. The fix is strategic distance and gentle boundaries. Stand at an angle that shields the keypad with your shoulder or body. Keep one foot slightly back so you can pivot if someone moves too close. And use friendly phrases that set limits without confrontation. For example, "Thank you, I've got it," or "I prefer to do this myself," or "Give me a moment, I just need space." These sentences sound calm, controlled, and respectful, but they create a necessary boundary. If a person keeps insisting after you've said one of these lines, that's your signal they aren't trying to help. Eldric learned that stepping back even half a step changed everything. Once he repositioned himself and shielded his card, the helper quickly lost interest and walked away. It wasn't a coincidence. It was a tactic interrupted. Seniors don't need to be forceful to stay safe. They just need to protect their space and trust the instinct that says something feels a little too convenient. Ever had someone insist on helping you? Mistake 6. Trusting airport Wi-Fi for boarding passes in 2026. Airport Wi-Fi has quietly become one of the biggest blind spots for senior travelers in 2026, not because it's new, but because the risks hiding inside it have changed faster than most people realize. Years ago, airport Wi-Fi was mostly slow or annoying. Now, cybercriminals target it the same way pickpockets target metro stations, by watching for predictable patterns. And seniors who rely on digital boarding passes often fall into the same routine: connect, download, scan, and move on. But what many don't know is that the simple act of connecting at the wrong moment can expose far more than you ever intended. Boarding pass QR codes are no longer harmless. In the wrong hands, those codes can reveal personal details, airline account information, and even pieces of your travel itinerary. All data criminals can use to clone your digital identity or create fraudulent bookings. The scam doesn't always happen instantly. Sometimes it starts with a copy of your QR code quietly captured over one of the fake Wi-Fi networks criminals set up inside busy terminals. These look identical to the official networks, right down to the same name, same speed, same login screen. Unless you're tech-savvy enough to inspect the source, you'd never know the difference. Eldric found this out the hard way. On the morning of his flight out of Lisbon, he tried to download his boarding pass, and the airport Wi-Fi kept disconnecting. After the third attempt, he connected to a network with the airport's initials and a stronger signal, without realizing it wasn't the official one. The moment he scanned his pass at the gate, someone tried accessing his airline account from across the city. He only learned about the attempt because the airline flagged the activity and sent a warning message. Had the system not caught it in time, someone could have cloned his credentials and interfered with his upcoming flights. The scary part? Eldric didn't do anything wrong. He didn't overshare. He didn't click a strange link. He didn't hand his phone to a stranger. He simply connected to Wi-Fi the way millions of seniors do every day while trying to manage digital travel tools in a world that keeps pushing them online. Criminals know this. They know seniors often travel with older smartphones, simpler passwords, or less familiarity with switching networks. And they know that rushing through a crowded terminal with bags, tickets, and mobility concerns makes it easy to click the first network that looks right. The solution doesn't require complicated apps or advanced settings. It's a habit shift, one that takes pressure off instead of adding more. First, always download your boarding pass before arriving at the airport while you're still on secure home Wi-Fi. Save it offline so you can access it without connecting to anything. Second, if you must use airport Wi-Fi, connect only after verifying the exact name with an airport staff member, not based on what appears on your phone. And finally, adopt a secure reconnect routine. Turn off Wi-Fi before boarding, disable autoconnect, and never open airline apps or financial tools while connected to public networks. These small adjustments don't require learning new technology. They simply use the tools you already know, in a safer and more intentional way. Once Eldric shifted to offline boarding passes, he felt calmer navigating airports. No more juggling networks, no more guessing, no more worrying about digital traps hidden behind friendly-looking Wi-Fi signals. Traveling in 2026 doesn't mean mastering every device. It means mastering a few smart habits that protect you from risks you can't see. Mistake 7. The end-of-day fatigue window. There's a moment late in the day when even the most seasoned senior traveler becomes noticeably more vulnerable, and thieves have learned to watch for it with precision. After 8 p.m., the natural slowdown that comes with fatigue begins to show, not as weakness, but as a softer focus, a calmer pace, a slight drop in alertness. Seniors aren't targeted because they are older. They are targeted because tired minds make predictable decisions, slower reactions, longer pauses, and more trust in the people around them. For criminals who track patterns in tourist areas, this window is their prime opportunity. It happens everywhere, outside museums after closing hours, at the edge of cruise docks when passengers are disembarking from long excursions, near bus stops after day tours, even in hotel corridors as guests return with aching feet and heavy bags. When you've been walking for hours, absorbing new sights, navigating unfamiliar paths, and adjusting to different environments, your brain eases into a softer rhythm. Your guard relaxes. Your steps slow. You shift your bag to relieve shoulder pressure. These natural behaviors are exactly what thieves observe. Eldric experienced his closest call at 8:43 p.m., right after stepping off a river cruise dock along the Tagus River. The evening air was cool, the lights reflecting off the water created a kind glow, and he was proud of himself for enjoying a long, full day without letting fear limit him. But that pride made him comfortable, and comfort makes anyone, of any age, let their guard drop just a little. As he walked toward the street, he paused to check the route back to his hotel. In daylight, that pause would have meant nothing. At night, with his shoulders slightly slouched and his focus drifting to the map on his phone, it became an invitation. A man trailing a small distance behind noticed immediately. His pace matched Eldric's rhythm. His movements were subtle, patient, practiced. He didn't rush or crowd. He simply closed the gap as Eldric's attention narrowed. It wasn't dramatic. It was calculated. That's how nighttime targeting works, silently, in the small cracks created by fatigue. But seniors can protect themselves without fear or drastic changes. A simple fatigue protocol can turn that vulnerable window into a safe one. First, give yourself a checkpoint. Before leaving any nighttime activity, take 10 seconds to adjust your bag against your chest or across your body more securely. Second, walk with purpose for the first minute. Not fast, just steady, so anyone tailing you can't match your pace easily. Third, stop only in well-lit areas or against a wall, never in open paths. And most importantly, listen to your internal signals. If you feel your mind dimming for the night, switch to preset mode, essential zipped, bag positioned forward, phone held low rather than high, and frequent awareness of your surroundings. It's not about fear, it's about supporting your tired brain with easy habits. When Eldric began using this protocol, he felt more in control, not more paranoid. It gave him permission to move mindfully without relying solely on energy he didn't always have at the end of a long day. Do you feel more worn down at night when traveling? But the danger that nearly changed Eldric's trip forever had nothing to do with money. It was a health-related trap almost no senior knows about, and it hits in 2026. That's coming next. By the end of his journey, something shifted in Eldric that went far deeper than learning a few travel tricks. When he first set out, he carried more than luggage. He carried the weight of uncertainty that comes with stepping back into the world after a major life change. Every unfamiliar street, every airport announcement, every decision felt like it demanded more from him than it used to. He wasn't afraid of travel itself. He was afraid of not being as sharp or as prepared as he once was. But as he moved through each moment, he discovered something he didn't expect. Knowledge didn't make him tense, it made him stronger. Each mistake he learned from didn't chip away at his confidence, it added to it. He went from flinching at crowds to blending into them. From feeling watched to becoming the one quietly watching his surroundings with calm clarity. From hesitating at turnstiles and kiosks to navigating them like someone fully in control of his space and pace. Travel didn't suddenly get easier. He got more sure of himself. With every smart habit he picked up, the world felt less threatening and more open, as if doorways he didn't even realize he'd closed were quietly unlocking again. The moment it truly clicked for him was on his final day, standing at the airport gate. He realized travel didn't become unsafe in his 70s, he just needed the rules of 2026. Once he understood how the world had changed, he didn't feel left behind anymore. He felt prepared. Capable. A part of it. These weren't skills reserved for the young or the tech-savvy. They were simple tools any senior could use to move through new places without fear tightening around their chest. And beneath all of it, there was something deeper, the reminder that he could still step into unknown places and feel sure of himself. That adventure hadn't ended with age, it had simply taken on a different rhythm. By replacing worry with awareness, Eldric rediscovered the quiet confidence he thought he'd lost after his wife passed. What he gained wasn't just safety. It was freedom. Freedom to walk streets he'd never seen, freedom to explore at his own pace, freedom to trust himself again. That transformation is what every senior deserves, not fear-based caution, but empowered travel grounded in real-world knowledge. Tap like so more seniors stay safe. Share this with someone over 60 who deserves worry-free adventures. Subscribe to Senior Travel Adventures. The next video reveals the airport habit that singles you out as a target even before you reach security.